Tonight, missile campaigns intensify in the Middle East as Donald Trump warns of a big wave of strikes to come. Iran declares it's closed the Strait of Hormuz, raising fears of soaring oil prices. No solution for stranded travellers in the Middle East as the conflict affects more than 17,000 flights. A WA teenager faces court over threats to kill the Prime Minister and the New South Wales Premier. This is ABC News. I'm Michael Tetlow. The UN's nuclear watchdog has confirmed entrances to Iran's underground and previously bombed uranium enrichment plant at Natanz have been struck as part of US and Israeli attacks. The International Atomic Energy Agency says no radiological consequence is expected as a result of the strikes. It followed Donald Trump warning the bigger strike on Tehran is still to come and that he'll send in American troops if necessary. On the third day of the widening conflict, the Iranian regime's retaliation has been taking aim at more countries across the Gulf. It's pounding key oil refineries and shut down the Strait of Hormuz. The human cost of the war is also coming into focus. One human rights group says at least 1,500 people have been killed in Iran by US and Israeli strikes, including 200 civilians. Iran's latest retaliatory strikes have also hit an airbase used by Australians. We start our coverage of the war tonight with Middle East correspondent Matthew Doran.
Iran's capital under fire as the US strikes from the air and the sea. Daylight revealing the extent of destruction at the Gandhi hospital in the city's north. It was evacuated on Sunday after Israeli missiles fell nearby. Explosion also felt by residents in neighbouring apartments.
Suddenly I saw the door and windows and everything being thrown towards me. The chandelier fell and thick smoke covered everywhere. I was shocked.
And the United States says the biggest hits are yet to come. President Donald Trump honouring soldiers of past wars and the 6 American troops who've died in this new one.
In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve. We have a lot of great service members here with us, too, in this beautiful building. Isn't it beautiful? We're improving the building. See that nice drape?
The president distracted in his first live address since the start of a war which could define his presidency.
Somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this.
Iran and its allies have fired back, hitting a hotel housing US troops in northern Iraq. In Bahrain, dozens of Iranian missiles and drones have been intercepted, but some slipped through. And an airbase outside Dubai, used by Australian forces, was also struck over the weekend.
All the Australians who are there are safe and accounted for.
We don't seek to regionalise the war. It will become regional simply because US bases and facilities are spread across our region.
In Kuwait, 3 US fighter jets were mistakenly shot down from apparent friendly fire. All 6 crew members managed to eject safely.
You're safe. You're safe. You're safe.
As the widening war enters a third day, there's still little clarity about what the US hopes to achieve and the legality of the preemptive strikes alongside Israel.
The imminent threat was that we knew that if Iran was attacked, and we believed they would be attacked, that they would immediately come after us.
The US is praising Israel as a capable partner.
Unlike so many of our traditional allies who wring their hands and clutch their pearls, hemming and hawing about the use of force.
Force which Israel is unleashing to its north. Renewing airstrikes on the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah, which has joined Iran in the conflict. Civilians are fleeing the country's south and Hezbollah's stronghold suburbs in Beirut after overnight strikes killed at least 50 people.
We heard the sound of planes. At first we thought it was the airport because we live near it. Then we heard shelling. Suddenly people started screaming.
The United Nations is urging a return to diplomacy, but in the battered central Israeli city of Beit Shemesh, President Isaac Herzog was defiant.
We want peace, and for this, sometimes you need to fight, and that's exactly what we're doing. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, how do you respond to criticism from the UN that this is a breach of international law?
The first Israelis killed have been laid to rest. At least 9 have died.
There was no siren. Suddenly the missile landed directly on the synagogue.
President Trump hasn't ruled out sending in American troops, saying he doesn't have the yips with respect to boots on the ground, and predicts the campaign will be over in 4 to 5 weeks.
To the media outlets and political left screaming endless wars, stop. This is not Iraq.
This is not an endless war. This is, in fact, something that will usher in an era of peace that we haven't even dreamed of.
But in its fight for survival, the Iranian regime says it's prepared for a long war.
And we'll stay with Matthew Doran, who's got more detail on Iranian strike on the US Embassy in Saudi Arabia.
This suspected drone attack on the US Embassy in the Saudi capital, Riyadh, happened a few hours ago in the early hours of this morning. Considering the time of day, it's not expected that there's been any injuries, and certainly damage does appear minimal, but it is reinforcing those comments from the US State Department to Americans across this region that they should be getting out, including, although taking note of, rather, the travel chaos which has enveloped much of the Middle East. The diplomatic quarter in Riyadh is also home to other countries' missions, including the Australian Embassy, and that too has also been shut down pending the security situation on the ground, just a couple of 100 metres away from the US Embassy there. It goes to show that Iran is expanding its attacks. It is emboldened in which countries it is choosing to attack. We have also heard this morning, local time, that the Israel Defence Minister, Israel Katz, has authorised IDF forces to move further into Lebanese territory in the south of that country. Another escalation on another front.
Middle East correspondent Matthew Doran there. While a small number of commercial flights have managed to depart the war-ravaged region, the federal government is warning there is no immediate solution for stranded Australians. More than 17,000 flights have been delayed globally, and travellers fear there is no end in sight.
As missiles flew across the region, stranded tourists took shelter in hotel basements, bedding down on floors and mattresses as they waited out the night.
People were genuinely fearful for their lives. I was just absolutely terrified.
Sydney woman Kelly Exner is now safe at a friend's home in Dubai, but has no idea for how long, and only has a few weeks' worth of medication for severe refractory Crohn's disease.
I think everybody just needs to manage expectations about when we get out, right? Like, it's terrifying, it's, scary. It's absolutely horrible to be, away from friends and family in a country that you don't understand.
Back home in the Blue Mountains, Andy and Rachel Foster are $30,000 out of pocket for a trip they were meant to embark on tonight.
Because it was the weekend, we couldn't get in touch with the travel agent, so we just sort of tried to make our own decisions as to what we thought was going to happen.
The Australian government is working on contingencies to get Australians out, but has ruled out military-assisted evacuation for now.
I am advised that a small number of commercial flights to other destinations were able to depart overnight. However, the unfortunate reality is that immediate resolution to this situation is unlikely.
And experts are warning of more retaliatory strikes by Iran on infrastructure across the region.
I see no reason why they would stop doing it, because they already see that they're getting some results from it. A huge airport like Dubai Airport has been closed down, which has a massive effect on international aviation.
More than 17,000 flights have been delayed globally and more than 3,000 cancelled as of this morning. Australians in the Middle East are urged to register with the Department of Foreign Affairs, while airlines are telling customers to closely monitor flight information and visit the government's Smart Traveller website. Christy Sexton-McGrath, ABC News.
The war is threatening global oil and gas supplies, with concerns the supply shock could stoke inflation and send petrol prices soaring. The Treasurer has directed the competition watchdog to monitor fuel prices, and rate hikes are looking more likely.
Smoke billowing from one of the world's biggest refineries after it was hit by Iranian drones. This attack on key Saudi Arabian oil infrastructure marks a dramatic escalation in Iran's strategy to halt the flow of oil to the west. That has Reserve Bank Governor Michelle Bullock worried.
It's too early to say what the economic impact will be. A supply shock of this nature, for example, could add to inflation pressures. and the potential implications for inflation expectations also are something that we're very alert to.
That's code for prepare for possible rate hikes. After the weekend attacks, Iran's retaliation initially targeted military installations across the region, along with 3 tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, everything from ports to pipelines is in its sights.
An Iranian general has said not one drop of oil leaving the region. The US is certainly looking to prevent that scenario from happening.
Saudi Arabia, the world's biggest exporter, ships the bulk of its oil and gas through the Persian Gulf, along with Bahrain, Qatar, Iraq, Kuwait, the UAE and Iran. But it has a pipeline to shunt oil and gas through the Red Sea in case of a threat.
The pipeline infrastructure doesn't move anywhere near as much as the on-sea shipping capacity. So yes, it helps and it limits the damage, but it doesn't replace shipping.
Qatar, one of the world's biggest gas exporters, has shut down LNG production after strikes against 2 facilities. A spike in gas prices 4 years ago sent inflation into orbit. That forced the RBA into a punishing series of rate hikes. The Treasurer is warning against price gouging at the petrol pump, but surging gas prices could be a much bigger headache. Ian Verrinder, ABC News.
Mourners have carried coffins through the streets of Minab in Iran during a funeral procession for the victims of a strike on a girls' school. Iranian state media reported more than 160 died as a result of the strike on Saturday. The US Secretary of State said America was investigating and that US forces would not deliberately target a school. A West Australian teenager has pleaded guilty to threatening to kill the New South Wales Premier and the Prime Minister. Will James King made the threats in a direct message to Chris Minns' Instagram account in January. King said he would assassinate the Premier and Prime Minister and also messaged, "You're a Jew, not a real Semite." The magistrate said there was no explanation for the comments and sought a psychological report before sentencing. The 19-year-old's lawyer said his client was extremely remorseful and didn't realise the gravity of his messages. "20 degrees in Perth tonight, a sunny day ahead with a top of 36 degrees. A shower or 2 for Sydney with 29, showers 2 for Canberra with 28. Brisbane, a possible shower, 30 degrees. Melbourne going for a cloudy Wednesday with 22. Hobart, mostly sunny and 25. Adelaide, a mostly sunny day as well with 27 degrees the top. In Darwin, showers with a possible afternoon storm. Rain for Cairns. And that is ABC Late News. To the moment, I'm Michael Tetlow. Thank you for watching from the team. Take care and bye for now.